It's a perfect time here right now. We're in the very last days of spring and just seeing the earlier signs of summer. Nature is on the move. So today we take a look around our fields to see what spring looks like here, and I'll share some very big news on climate. That's a little later. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Gary's in the Shed, and we're starting to see the first signs of summer right now. We can feel it coming. Here in the south of Sicily, summer can be quite intense with temperatures well into the 40s. But now the weather is mild, temperatures are in the high 20s, and all the fields have turned a beautiful pale yellow, ready for cutting. This is an important crop in this farming community. Fortunately, we've had good rains in the past few months, so unlike some years, we can be confident about the water supply. But we can't take water for granted, especially now, just ahead of a dry, hot summer. It will be a long time to the next good rain. Right now, the farmers are in the fields mowing and collecting feed for the animals, especially their much-loved cattle, a very important feature of our local economy. First, the grass is cut and flattened. Then this is called a swather, a machine that sorts the cut grass into neat rows, ready for the big baling machines to come along and produce the important bales for the animals. And those bales of hay litter the fields in a scene that always makes me smile, especially in this light. Artists over generations have loved this landscape, and the smell of fresh cut grass is what living in the country is all about. This is Enzo Napoleone, our next-door neighbour. His family's been farming these lands for generations. No fancy machines when Enzo was a kid. They were collecting much smaller bales of hay, but they still weighed 30 kilos, and the kids were heaving them into the back of the truck. Life was even tougher then.
Enzo, abbiamo basta cibo per animali quest'anno?
Quest'anno abbastanza, perché l'annata è stata piovosa e quindi e soprattutto è un'annata che lo stiamo raccogliendo senza bagnato, non è nero, è bello bianco, quindi è molto più carico di proteine, di vitamine e tutto il resto, diciamo.
Tua famiglia ha fatto questo lavoro per molti anni, no?
Sì, sì. Come ti ripeto, da generazione, perché c'era mio nonno, poi mio padre, ora ci sono io. E la differenza è che fra le vecchie tradizioni, giustamente non c'erano i mezzi che ci sono oggi, perché una volta le ballette si facevano quelle piccoline, 1,20 m, 30 kg di peso quando andava bene, ora invece facciamo 400-500 kg e quindi anche per il trasporto, la raccolta per portarla a casa, è una cosa che si fa tutto meccanizzato, non
Sì.
manuale come una volta.
Che mi piace molto, grazie.
Esatto.
I can't pretend to be a farmer, but I have great respect for what these guys do. While the work goes on, the fields in spring are all dressed up in countless wildflowers, including the iconic red poppy, thousands of them here, and with an orchestral background of the wind and the birds. And we're seeing the beginning of this year's harvest on the farm, like the tiny buds on the olive trees that will become this year's crop of olives. The fruit is growing well on the carob trees, and the pomegranate trees, they're signalling the arrival of that wonderful fruit still to come. Around September, we'll be back in the fields again for another busy harvest season. As you can tell, it's a blessing for us to walk these fields, especially with our dogs, and to soak up this place before the heat of the summer comes. Meanwhile, this year, something important happened in the closing days of spring in the study of the environment. You see, for many years now, the world has relied on information from the IPCC to predict the impact of our carbon emissions on the global climate. Much of the world's policies on fossil fuels, for example, have been driven by extremist forecasts about how much CO2 is being released into the air, resulting in rising global temperatures. And as some of you may know, I've been tracking this for a long time. And now there's big news. The IPCC's most pessimistic scenarios have just been eliminated. The committee in charge of all this has itself described those scenarios as implausible. One climate researcher this week has described this news as an absolutely huge development in climate science, which will bring lasting impact across research and policy around the world. Now, I know graphs are boring, but this one is important. That red line represents the IPCC's most extreme scenario called RCP 8.5, about how much CO2 will reach the atmosphere over the next 75 years. And this black line shows what has actually happened so far, and then where it will go based on current policies. Now, no one can be sure about where that black line will go in the future. And then in the background, there are lots of alternative scenarios. But from now on, the most extreme scenarios are gone. Even the climate establishment now accepts the worst-case scenarios are implausible. As you can see, reality has overtaken the pessimism here, and so the extreme position is now officially gone. An expert on these climate scenarios is Dr. Roger Pielke Jr., who joined us on Gary's in the Shed back in January. Here's what Roger had to say about all this back then.
So even as Americans have gotten richer, people around the world have gotten richer, our economy is less carbon intensive. Now, if you were to and let me just say that process has been in place, long predating climate policy, because it is reflective of good things. It's reflective of us getting richer and being able to better consume energy. Nuclear power, for example, is very low carbon intensity, and arguably, certainly much preferred to coal, and arguably, preferable to natural gas. So this trend of improving carbon intensity of the economy can continue. If we were to take a ruler and just take this linear trend that's been in place for 60 years and extend it forward 60 years, we would find that the world would be rapidly approaching net zero. It's not an easy task. It doesn't happen by magic. It needs policy, it needs investment and support. But if the world were to continue on the track that it has been on for the last 60 years, the world would wind up very close to that 2-degree temperature target of the United Nations. So I very much view decarbonization to be a side benefit of things that we engage in for other good reasons. I know the climate movement likes to say, let's put decarbonization at the center, and you get economic growth and air conditioners and all that stuff on the side. But that's not how it works for most people. So by putting in place policies that get us all of the good things that are associated with decarbonization, if we also get reduced emissions, then so much the better.
If you'd like to know more about this, you can follow Roger Pielke on his Substack called The Honest Broker. Now, don't be surprised if you don't hear much about this good news. You see, most of the mainstream media won't want to talk about this. So, having heard the good news about the climate science, enough of that. It's time to get back into the fields and just enjoy these final perfect days of spring. And of course, to be thankful. Thankful for all of this. If you'd like to help me at Gary's in the Shed, please click the like and subscribe buttons below. Now, I'll never ask for money, but some free feedback would be good. So while you're down there, please leave a comment